In Fox 2 Charlington to shed some light on where things go from here.
Yeah, I mean, we just touched on a little bit there. Is it automatic, though? Because, of course, murder normally is here.
Yeah, murder normally is. You're right about that. However, because Ethan Crumbley was only 15, he's a minor, a juvenile. So it is not automatic life in prison. And that's because of the Miller versus Alabama case. We've heard about this Miller hearing. That's what it is, Miller versus Alabama, U.S. Supreme Court case that basically said that for a juvenile to automatically spend life in prison without parole is cruel and unusual punishment. That was the Supreme Court, no matter what the facts are. Doesn't matter. If it's a juvenile and murder, so the presumption then is you don't have life in prison without parole. It's the burden on the prosecutor to show that this crime was so bad, there's no chance of rehabilitation, that the facts are so outrageous that he should spend life in prison without parole. The judge has the option. But in cases in Michigan, and cases that have interpreted that, we have not seen a whole lot.
If you are Paulette Lofton, how do you go into this sentencing and kind of soften the blow here for Ethan Crumbley? Because you've seen what he did. He admitted guilty to this. So how do you go in and kind of defend him in this situation?
Great strategy. Plead guilty to everything. Spare the victims here, of which there are many. Spare them the trial. And he can go up now for his Miller hearing, for his sentencing, and basically said, I admit responsibility. I took responsibility. I, by the way, have remorse. And I'm a kid. I'm 15. My brain is not developed. And we will hear that type of testimony.
And we saw, of course, the parents being blamed with this, also accused in connection to these horrific shootings. What about them? Now that he's talking about testifying where his dad was the one that gave him the gun, that cannot be good for their case.
Well, it can't be, but here's the problem with that. I know the prosecutor was pretty good. Yeah. That was pretty good to get that into evidence. Right. Give her a couple of points for that. But how is she going to get that into trial? The mere fact that Ethan Crumbley said that, how are you going to get that into the parents' trial? The only way is if Ethan testified. And let me think about this. Ethan is going to testify against his parents? The prosecutor didn't give Ethan any deals. So for him to help the prosecutor, I'd be a little surprised. More likely, I could see Ethan testifying for the parents. And he could say, you know what? It was my gun. I bought it with my own money. I was the one that loaded it, put it in my backpack, hid it. My parents didn't have anything to do. Now, I don't know if he's going to say that.
Right.
I don't know that. But if you ask me, Brandon, if I'm the defense attorney in the case, how are they preparing? Oh, they're thinking certainly, could Ethan come in and be a star witness, perhaps, for the parent? Again, he doesn't have to testify at all.
Are they communicating still, or not at all still?
Likely,
the parents and Ethan Crumbley?
Cannot. They have had no contact. However, the attorneys probably have had contact. If I'm a defense attorney, I'm going to talk to the attorneys on the parents and see maybe there is something there. Hey, by the way, real quick, if it's not life in prison, and again, it could very well be. I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. However, under the law, the minimum sentence would be between 25 and 40 years, and the maximum would be 60. That's the law in Michigan. So if it's not life in prison, it would be a term, two sentences, between 25 and 40 at a maximum of 60, meaning he would do, say, and I'm going to predict right now, it's 40 to 60. He'll do 40 years and be eligible for parole, but not spend more than 60 years. That is a
I mean, he could be getting out
sentence.
potentially at 75 years old.
Perhaps.